Today I'm talking with Joe Welstead, founder of Oshun, a hydrating supplement company that he formerly ran Motion Nutrition for 6 to 7 years. And this is probably the most interesting part of the podcast, is now launching his second CPG company, what he's not wasting his time on, what he's doing differently. We also get into just the amazing growth that he's had organically and the reason why he did this before turning on the paid advertising channels. And he has recently just turned those on. So we get into organic growth, how the fears around giving control over to others before you turn that dial on paid. We talk about his relationship with UGC. He's also a current operator of a media production company that works with high-end brands, producing really good storytelling, branding. And so we get into that relationship between UGC and sort of quote unquote low quality content and how he thinks about that for Oshun. Really fascinating conversation. Excited to dive in with you guys. Let's jump in. So I'm curious, you ran Motion Nutrition for 6 to 7 years before launching Oshun. What are you doing differently now with your second CPG company?
Pretty much everything, to be honest. Like so much. I mean, like when I launched my first brand, like I had no idea what I was doing. Like we had an idea, we in terms of like product, like I think that's where like first time founders start, right? Like you have an idea for a product and you really want to execute on that, and you have a vision for like who you should be selling to and stuff like that. But like we made so many mistakes. And so now, like second time around, it's just so nice, so gratifying to have that experience.
What are like 2 to 3 things that you could share that you're like, yeah, I won't waste my time on X, or I won't waste my money on this that I did with Motion that I'm not doing with Oshun? The fact that those rhyme makes it really, really fun.
It's weird, dude. Like I was not like this, absolutely not planned. Like, I was like, maybe I'm just gonna like remove a letter or like a syllable with each new brand.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Well, so with Motion, we launched immediately, but the mindset was different, right? We wanted to establish ourselves as a like full service supplement brand. So like off the bat, I think we launched with, like 10 products or so. Like it was quite like intense just to get all the different SKUs together. So that's definitely a big difference. This time with Oshun, like I'm really enjoying the simplicity. Really, really enjoying it. Not just from a logistical perspective, but also from like a pure brand comms perspective. Like we can be so clear and so precise and so like, really diluted and dialed down to what we want to say. So that's really, really nice and very liberating, because there's like all this other stuff that we don't need to talk about. We can just be really clear about who we are, what we do, who we're for, what we're going to do for you.
So one SKU versus like launching with a bunch and trying to be everything to everybody, or at least offer everything to everybody. What are the other things you aren't wasting your time on this time around?
So we launched Motion, my first brand, with basically an omnichannel like distribution approach, which was in some ways very beneficial, because I know that we acquired loads of customers through being in like good retail placements. But on the other hand, it was like very chaotic and very like work heavy, very like relationship heavy, spending a lot of time in stores, doing a lot of like face-to-face stuff, doing a lot of like sampling, in Whole Foods and things like that. So actually, as like a very green founder, that was probably very beneficial, because we got so much high quality feedback from users, from potential customers, that I think that really like allowed me to grow as an entrepreneur. But second time around, I think I'm benefiting from that experience, and I don't feel like I have to do quite as much face-to-face time. So I'm sort of able to like jump through hoops and bypass a few things. So it's to my advantage this time, but that's not to say that I wouldn't do it that way again if I was starting off for the first time, because having that high quality face-to-face for multiple hours every week was super, super helpful to get started.
But was it what I'm hearing from you though on that front is that you wouldn't go necessarily omnichannel right away though, and you're not.
No, not at all. This time around, like very focused D2C. We will work with like very, very carefully selected retail placement, but it's really more about like window front than doing any kind of serious volume through those locations. So like a Pilates studios is perfect for us. The place where like we just know that the customer profile is like 100% spot on, and whether they buy through there or through our website, it kind of doesn't matter so long as like that type of person sees our product.
It's interesting too, because what I tell a lot of people is that you can grow to a significant revenue number on one channel, 25, 35, 50 million, most likely on Facebook ads. But if there's other channels, but I think the main point on that is that what you're exactly saying is incredible focus and radical focus on a particular channel and one product, essentially.
Yeah, and essentially, so we've got one product, one channel, and then everything we do around that is basically to be really efficient with our money and with our resources. So we could like step back and just do purely like Facebook ads, like that would be totally valid strategy. But by being really focused with what our product is and who our customer is, we can be in multiple sort of touch points where pretty much all of them, other than Facebook and Instagram ads, all of those other ones don't cost us any money, or at least there's no like marginal cost of sale. So that means we can be really, really, really efficient with our actual paid acquisition spend.
Yes. And that point is what actually I harp on with when it comes to seeding your product, like influencer seeding, sending out product completely for free, no strings attached. One, it builds the relationship capital, but two, you're getting these free organic impressions. Those will always be your cheapest impressions because hopefully your COGS and your cost of delivery is incredibly low compared to what that plus what you're paying the Meta machine. However, there is a caveat to that, which is when you say one channel, to be clear, is that organic? Is that what you're saying? Is like one channel is organic essentially?
So up until literally like about 10 days ago, it was all organic. We didn't spend anything in ads. So we're literally just starting now. But what I meant by channel is actually like conversion channel. So we just have our Shopify store. You can sort of add TikTok shop now, but basically like in terms of our core focus, it's one conversion channel, Shopify, get everybody onto there. And then everything around it is about building visibility and touch points with a particular type of customer.
So you guys launched roughly 6 months ago-ish?
4 months.
4 months ago. Okay. And it's been pure organic up until this point, which I actually am a great, as much as I love the Meta ad machine, I'm a great celebrator, if that's a word, celebrator of you doing that, because I think it's really, really hard to just start a brand, launch Facebook ads, and I've seen it with 0 pixel data and try to churn, try to get as many customers as possible, because there is that kind of spend to learn or pay to play, at least at the beginning. And without capital and bootstrapping, like it's just hard to pay that fee at the beginning. So having an organic audience that's actually you're leveraging is really, really smart. What is now after turning on ads, granted 10 days ago, what have you seen that affect the brand?
Consistency. So consistency of traffic and sales. So the one thing that's really difficult with organic is like, you don't know, like you can try to get some forecasts and, you can sort of apply some multipliers and, conversion, like estimated conversion rates. If you know that somebody's going to post about it one day or, we've been like very fortunate and very grateful because we've essentially built our network in this space over the last 10 years. And that's what's allowed us to launch this organically, because we have quite a number of people who are sort of embedded into the health space, whether they're nutritional therapists or like health practitioners of some kind, who know us personally and like trust us for what we do. And so that's basically been like why we've been able to be successful sort of overnight. It's like one of these 10-year overnight success stories. But still with that, like really, really difficult to quantify like who's going to bring us sales, when they're going to land. Like we had one day where one of the people we had seeded the product with, she actually bought a second unit and gave it to somebody she was training like live on Instagram. I think she gave it to her like during the live, and this lady was like, She loved it. She like spelled it out. It only lasted a few seconds, but it was on her live. She's got 1.3 million followers. So like on that day, we sold like, I don't remember, but probably half of our stock that we had at that point. So like really, really, really difficult to forecast. So what a little bit of ad spend now has been great because it's given us just a lot more stability. So immediately out of the bat, we haven't spent enough that it's like a major boost, but like basically what was a good day is now every day. And so, we've got like a solid foundation. And by starting organic for these first like 4 months, we've basically built this sort of online loose community. And by having the pixel tracking that through time as well, that's helped. And so our ads, even though we're still in a learning phase, are performing really well. And like our CAC is really, really reasonable right off the bat because we've got this like kind of cohort of people. And I think a lot of the people who the ads are being served to, they probably are not top of funnel. Like we've probably been in their periphery for the last couple of months, and now they're seeing an ad. So just kind of adding in an extra touch point. And so that's why, like, without spending too much, we've been able to kind of capture solid sales off the bat.
There's a problem today with too much fake UGC saturation. Consumers are looking for authentic reviews and content, and this is a way that you can stand out in your crowded market with authentic influencer content. So Cody here with an ad read for Get Cyril. So there's an explosion of D2C brands across categories. You got to be able to stick out. We here at Kinship actually use Cyril for influencer discovery, but Cyril is not just a discovery tool, but a way that you can search for brand aligned influencers, but reach out directly. You can manage them all in place. You can track performance all within one platform. So brands like Avi, Legends, Tab Chocolate are using them to get hundreds of creators talking about them on socials, and you can too. And in addition to that, all of our clients here at Kinship that are doing seeding are using that platform as well. So you can start your free 7-day trial with Cyril to get authentic UGC. Go check them out. Organic growth is giving control to others, but
you have to like let loose for sure.
Yeah. But it is something that you reap later because just the organic and paid relationship. Like we just had a brand the other day, and we don't do any macro influencer stuff. We never have. So big influencer stuff. One of our clients, though, they were working with a macro influencer agency. They had an influencer kind of post. It went absolutely crazy. They had their first 6-figure day ever. And when they're normally at like the 10 to 15K a day, and they had 6 figures in a day, all from this influencer posting. And it speaks to the organic and paid relationship because even with a post iOS world, Facebook still loves signal. So as much signal that you're sending to the platform, so speaking to what you're doing, which is the organic distribution that you've built the brand on and leveraging those relationships in a really high capital way. Now, when you turn on that dial, you're reaping the benefit of what you've done over the last 4 months. And that's what people don't understand is like when they give up control on an organic basis, it's scary. I don't know. It's very unpredictable. Or even like if you just take out seeding your product, it's like, well, what's going to happen? Are they going to post? Am I going to get some sort of ROI? Because they're used to that paid channel mentality of, oh, I just send a Klaviyo email and I get all these sales. I just turn on a Facebook ad and I get all these sales. It's just like that immediate dopamine hit versus organic, the way that you've built the brand. Now, granted, you're leveraging a relationship because of your former brand, but still everybody has a network that when they're starting out, they have something that they can leverage. And so you're reaping all that benefit now. And so you're giving up control and it's really scary, but you're going to reap that benefit later on.
And I think actually this is another difference between launching Motion like 8 to 9 years ago and launching the second CPG brand is I feel much more comfortable like without being in control. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm okay with like the brand not being like always in our control. Like essentially I know that every touch point that people are going to have directly with us is going to be like super tight in terms of how the brand's presented, the words that we use, the visuals, the colors, like everything is going to be really on point. And then I'm kind of like, the way a third party authority talks about us, I actually kind of want them to be different. and to use their own language and basically just make it their own in a way that, like, if you were to talk about your favorite restaurant, like your local favorite restaurant, when somebody like flies into town to visit you and you want to show them around like all your coffee shop, your favorite restaurant, like all your favorite places, like you're going to present them in a way that's completely different to what the coffee shop or the restaurant owner would say. But that's exactly what I want. Like, I want people to communicate Oshun in a way that will relate to their peers. And that's something that, you need to lose control. You need to let people do that.
Totally. And that comes from your confidence in the product and the customer experience as well.
That's true.
Yeah. Sometimes that fear can creep in when you're not confident in those things. So you try to control those outputs. So you also have, are you still actively involved in NoJack?
NoJack Media, yeah. I'm partner in it. Essentially, so Jack and I founded NoJack Media 4 or 5 years ago, and after I exited Motion, I kind of joined in full time with him, and we've run it together for the last couple of years, and we've had some great success. We've worked with brands like Aston Martin, The North Face, National Geographic, really cool stuff. But then also, we worked with a lot of kind of early stage CPG brands, and we didn't necessarily broadcast that stuff because it was kind of like sort of less sexy than showing Aston Martin work. But doing that over like 12 to 24 months, it was really nice to see and to kind of get involved with those early stage brands, because I realized that the experience that I had and the skill set that Jack has as a creative, we could basically like privately judge these brands and be quite like, I think quite accurate in like assessing what they were doing really well, and but also quite fair in assessing what they were doing not so well, and where that kind of reinforced our confidence in launching a CPG brand together, because we realized actually we have like as a team a really good group like match of skill sets and experience that kind of puts us in a really good position to launch organically. And again, this is why like we've been able to do this is, okay, we've had experience, we've built a network, but also we've got essentially in-house capabilities of producing really, really good content visually and written. And so that really allows us to do just to produce a lot of cool stuff across lots of platforms, get lots of touch points out. We've got the product on like Pexels, the free like photo library, as well as Unsplash, and of course Pinterest and things like that. But like Unsplash and Pexels, we're probably getting hundreds of thousands of views on the product for free. But essentially, you can do that if you have like really good quality content that's gonna get clicks.
Which kind of prompts my question: is running a media production company, working with those brands, what is your relationship with UGC?
So as a production company, we didn't touch it at all.
Right. Which is kind of like my question is like, when you're working with such high quality and you guys have amazing branding, the UGC low quality, quote unquote, tends to be less valuable in your mind potentially. And that's kind of why I'm just asking like this candid question is like, what do you view? Because I obviously sit in a camp where it's like, I love give me any and every asset. We'll run it. We'll run it on a cost control bid strategy. We'll launch that sucker. For someone like you, where you sit and you're sitting in these high quality working with Aston Martin, where they're not going to like, nor does UGC make sense for a brand like that. But like, you're not doing that type of style of content, and you're not around it every day versus someone like myself or Kinship or really, I mean, a lot of the brands. So I'm curious, like, how you think about it.
So actually, where we brought back value to Aston Martin is basically building in like storytelling, because as a luxury brand, it's really difficult for them to create sort of relatable content. And so that's actually what we did. We basically brought in like talent, which actually was like what you would call influencers, and brought the car into like a more everyday context. So it's sort of like halfway there. It's not UGC in the way that you describe it. But now as a brand with Oshun, I'm all for UGC, especially in like the acquisition framework. I think that where I would probably stop short, maybe I'll change my mind on this, but I probably don't want to have like a bunch of UGC videos on a product display page or on a landing page where it can kind of very quickly feel like we're like in a sort of market stall. Like that's probably not what I want to do. But outside of our conversion channel, like in a sort of third party like media platform, Facebook, Google, TikTok, whatever, like I think that's fantastic. Really good, really happy to do that.
Well, my question more so comes from experience talking with folks that I guess I don't even know if it's fair to say like sit in your camp, or brand owners that just can't get out of their own way when it comes to like really high end. I need my brand to always look like this. And we even had one of our brands on the pod, and he was just like, I quickly realized that my Facebook ad library is not the only place where my brand exists. And I'm okay with like certain ads going live that I wouldn't necessarily choose for myself. And I thought that was a great way of putting it, which is like, he's exactly right. Like your Facebook ad library is not your brand. It doesn't equal brand. And for a vast majority of brands, they need to be demonstrating that like real everyday user of people are using the product and liking it. Whether you're paying for that UGC or not, I think that's still demonstrating it. So cool to see. Well, at least on the PDP page, always A/B test it, follow the money.
Yeah, I might, but I still have like, I still have, there's always like a long-term sort of macro question on that. Like, because you could A/B test PDPs with or without UGC, and like one might, the one with the UGC might outperform everything else. But like, I really view this more on like a macro long-term brand value like play. So, I do want to play the game, and I want to like, be really smart with our acquisition, but I also want to like make sure that when people buy our product, like they're going to want to, they're going to like the product. So like they're probably going to stick, but like I want to make sure that even when they get it for the first time, like there's a high value perception of the product.
So as we kind of wrap up here, is like, what advice would you give somebody that wants to grow organic, doesn't want to turn on the Facebook ad machine right away, but doesn't have like maybe, they didn't launch a previous brand like you, and they don't have the network of that leg up? What would you advise them to do?
I think the first thing is like before launching, people kind of underestimate how much they can do to get validation before spending any time or money on the product. And it might be as simple as, so the way we did it was we basically told people we were going to do this brand. We weren't even sure if it was going to happen yet, but we told people we were going to do it. We told people what it was going to be, and we asked them to choose, like to help us choose our name out of 4 options. And we had 200 people vote, like take part in the sort of vote thing on across like LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter. And just the fact that they did that, it gives you a little bit of an indication like, okay, well, that's quite a lot of people that took a minute to do that. So like there's interest. And then we did it again with like picking the sort of brand like art direction, and got another couple hundred people join in. So that was like totally free validation. Like, is this idea landing with people? Do they understand it? Are they willing to give us a little bit of their attention? And then like just keep thinking of ways of getting validation. So that's one thing. And then the other is like the way we did it, the way we launched organically is, okay, through our network and through our skill set, which is create lots of really good content. But everybody's got some network, and everybody's got some skill set. So it's really about finding like, well, essentially what can you flex? Like, what are you good at, and who can you put that in front of? And for some people that'll be TikTok. For others it'll be LinkedIn. For others it will be like out on the street. Or if you have like an uncle who has a cafe, go there and like, ask your uncle if you can be in store talking to people. There's loads of ways of getting validation for your idea and organic reach. And then it's like, you can create the content as you go. And like, there's loads of success stories of that kind of thing.
People want to reach out to you and chat more. Where is best to do that?
X at Joe Welstead is the best place. I'm pretty active on there. That's how we met. Really enjoy it. And I'm very open with how we're building Oshun. So you can pretty much ask me anything on there and I'll share. So definitely the right place.
Joe, appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, Cody.